It's a foggy start out there. Some locations seeing less than a mile of visibility at this point. That's mainly for the northern half of our viewing area, so please take it slow on your Wednesday morning commute. I'll have more details. Look ahead towards the rest of that work week forecast coming up.
All right, breaking now, Superintendent Al Cid why the head of Loudoun County Schools was let go after an investigation into sexual assaults.
Also breaking now, a fire tearing through a D.C. apartment building. What we are learning from firefighters on the scene.
Plus, the fight against anti-Semitism, what Virginia lawmakers are proposing to combat hate in communities.
The station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
All right, good Wednesday morning to you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Corey James.
And I'm Joseph Olmo, and for tonight, you're right. We want to get right to your foggy forecast this morning. Meteorologist Jackie Layer standing by. Jackie, overcast outside of the Capitol just like it was yesterday.
Yes, and we are seeing a few rain showers, but those are mainly off towards the north and west, out towards western Maryland, as well as parts of West Virginia. But overall, again, the big story this morning is the fog, and we can see a little bit of that fog in the distance from that Capitol building live shot there. But we're down about 4 miles of visibility in the district, but as we get farther off towards the north, less than a mile visibility, literally down to almost 0 miles of visibility in Frederick, as well as Leesburg, Hagerstown, too. About a mile in Martinsburg, Winchester, and even down towards Woodstock. So really up and down the I-81 corridor, we're looking at very low visibilities, and also out towards western Maryland and West Virginia. Radar also showing some rain showers spreading in, and those are mainly back out towards Cumberland and down through West Virginia. So we'll eventually notice those moving their way from west to east. So heads up Hagerstown, you'll like to see some rain showers within the next 30 minutes to an hour, and then we'll also be watching these moving their way farther off towards the east and out of Grantsville as well as Frostburg, now finally drying things out after a bit of some rain earlier. Now let's also see with this low that will continue to move its way off towards the east, and that'll be providing us with a few rain showers this morning. Should be seeing drier conditions later today. Temperatures 40s to low 50s right now, warming up later today. More details coming up. Shanika's here with the very latest on traffic. How's it looking out there this morning?
Yep, I'm here. Good morning. Just past the 6 o'clock hour, actually, we're looking at northern Virginia, that inner and outer loop stretch right near 50. You're looking okay. We did have some problems off of 66. I think that is gone. I don't see any at all congestion out there. Over to Dulles, though. This is on 267 heading westbound. That's right before Sully Road. Just watch for a crash there in that area. If you're heading out to Dulles, you might get stuck in that. 66 east and west, it's looking good through Haymarket, Centerville, and Fairfax. 95 north and southbound still remains the same.
All right, Shanika, thank you. Breaking now, one person is in the hospital this morning with life-threatening injuries after an apartment fire in northeast D.C. Firefighters say the heavy flames were coming out of this building when they arrived about an hour ago.
Right here is actually a live look at the scene, the aftermath of that fire along 20th Street this morning. Fire crews say the flames are out right now, but investigators are still on scene trying to figure out what sparked the blaze originally. Well, breaking now, another chapter in the controversy for one of Virginia's largest school districts. The Loudoun County School Board has voted to fire Superintendent Scott Ziegler.
Yeah, this all happened last night in a closed-door session. DC News Now's Lex Wars is live this morning outside of the school board with what got us to this point. Good morning, Lex.
Yeah, good morning. Well, the board was set to discuss the outcome of the grand jury investigation that came out on Monday that points to multiple times that the school system actually failed to step up after 2 sexual assaults happened at different LCPS schools. Now, these assaults both happened in 2021. That was when Ziegler was serving as the superintendent. He was unanimously voted in as the official superintendent 1 month after the first sexual assault happened. He had been serving as the interim superintendent for 6 months leading up to that vote. Well, the first assault happened in a school bathroom. A 15-year-old boy was found guilty of forcible sodomy and fellatio in that case. But while it was being investigated, school officials simply moved him to a different school where he assaulted another girl while he was wearing a skirt. These cases brought the school district under the national spotlight and public scrutiny over the policies for transgender students and Title IX complaints. The school board tried to fight against the grand jury investigation but did fail in the findings from that investigation. It says LCPS administrators looked out for their own interests instead of the best interests of the schools as a whole. The investigation also found that, quote, LCPS as an organization tends to avoid managing difficult situations by not addressing them fully. Well, right now there is no word on who will be stepping in to replace Ziegler as the interim superintendent. We've reached out to the school system as well as multiple different parent groups to get some comment on what happened last night, to find out if there's going to be any more changes coming from the school board or if there's going to be a press conference held at any point today. As we find out more information, we'll be letting you know both here and online. Live in Loudoun County, I'm Lex Juarez, DC News Now.
All right, it was a tight race, but a big win for Democrats last night. Incumbent Raphael Warnock defeating Herschel Walker in a runoff election.
Yeah, let's talk balance of power this morning. The victory gives Democrats a 51-49 majority in the Senate, increasing their advantage by just one seat, which means they will no longer have to rely on the vice president as a tie-breaking vote. The victory gives Democrats a 51-49 majority in the Senate, granting them the more power that they need to be able to confirm federal judge appointees. This race was about so much more than a single vote in the Senate, though. In his victory speech, Senator Warnock thanked the people of Georgia and the will of democracy.
It is my honor to utter the four most powerful words ever spoken in a democracy. The people have spoken.
Yeah, Walker accepted defeat in the speech and encouraged his supporters not to give up their fight.
But one of the things I want to tell all of you is you never stop dreaming. I don't want any of you to stop dreaming. I don't want any of you to stop believing in America. I want you to believe in America and continue to believe in the Constitution and believe in our elected officials most of all. Continue to pray for them, because all the prayers you've given me, I felt those prayers.
So in January, Warnock will start his first full term serving the people of Georgia for the next 6 years.
Your time right now is 6:06 this morning. Taking action after a recent act of anti-Semitism in Loudoun County, some in the community are hoping educating kids in schools will help combat the problem. DC News Now's Max Marcella has more.
It behooves us to speak out and take action.
The action started by cleaning the slate of the ugly messages written on the pavement in Loudoun County, then with a community vigil as people of all different faiths and backgrounds stood side by side. Rabbi Neil Tao was there, and he agrees with the Commonwealth's Commission on Anti-Semitism's assessment that education can play a crucial role.
Education can open our eyes to new ideas, new perspectives, cultures, religions, people that we don't know, and enable all of us to have empathy.
Education is a major theme of the recommendations outlined in this report. It calls on the Department of Education to place anti-Semitism, the rise of the Nazi Party, and the Holocaust under its own subsection of U.S. history, plus teaching students about Judaism in world history. The commission concluded that Governor Youngkin's recent draft history standards did meet its recommendations, but critics say that proposal, which has not been adopted, would diminish African-American history and LGBTQ representation in schools.
Everybody on the list was erased in K through 12 history. There is a correlation.
At a vigil after the most recent hate incident in Loudoun County, Pastor Michelle Thomas with the Loudoun County NAACP said those standards don't cover enough, especially considering the graffiti here in Loudoun County had racist and anti-LGBTQ language as well.
It's important to recognize that those groups also have a history and a story as well.
All right, developing this morning, Gaithersburg police are putting together the moments leading up to a shooting in Montgomery Village. Officials say that a 24-year-old man was injured in that shooting. It happened along Whetstone Drive. Police got a call shortly after 5 o'clock last night. They say one person is in custody at this point. Police are not releasing any more details.
And we're also learning more about the man who was shot and killed in Alexandria. Fairfax County police say 26-year-old Jordan Summers was gunned down near Audubon Avenue Monday night. According to authorities, he was shot on the sidewalk. Police say someone nearby actually saw him and called police for help. Investigators are asking anyone with any information to call Fairfax County Police. Also in Fairfax County this morning, police are releasing new details about a deadly crash. Officers say 19-year-old David Hernandez was speeding along Prosperity Avenue yesterday morning. They say that's when he lost control of his car and hit a tractor trailer near the Route 29 intersection. Hernandez was taken to a hospital where he later died. And in the district, the officers who risked their lives on January 6th were honored on Capitol Hill. DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg has more on the Congressional Gold Medals that were given out to those who protected and served.
Chief Robert Contee brought up his memories of that day of the chaos where his officers were beaten and bruised. But he says he and his entire force are privileged to receive this award.
January 6th was a day of horror and heartbreak, yet is also a moment of extraordinary heroism.
Almost 2 years since the insurrection at the Capitol, officers who bravely defended it are being recognized with Congress's highest honor, the Congressional Gold Medal.
This medal is symbolic of our members' contributions, not just to the District of Columbia, but to the entire country.
Metropolitan Police Chief Robert Contee recalls the bloodshed.
Looking down on the marble on the West Front and seeing blood of my officers, that stands out for me and something that I will never forget.
Capitol Police Chief Tom Manger says all officers who were here on January 6th are grateful for the recognition.
These officers came back to work the next day too, and in my mind that was just as courageous, and every day that they've been here since really speaks to their character and their courage.
Democrats and Republicans praised law enforcement as heroes.
These brave men and women are heroes. Heroes who protected so many from harm on that day.
But the family of fallen officer Brian Sicknick snubbed House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell by not shaking their hands when presented with the medal. Emotions over the politics of that day on full display. 21 Republicans in the House voted against awarding the medals.
Our police officers who came to work that day, regardless of their political affiliation, they put their lives on the line. They put their blood, sweat, and tears on the line for people who voted for them and people who did not vote for them.
Chief Manger says they've acknowledged the failures of that day and have made corrective changes. He adds that actually new recruits have seen January 6th as an inspiration, really showcasing the mission of the department. In Northwest D.C., Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.